Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Ryan Haywood.
It's been a bad week for Suicide Squad, DC's supervillain team-up, which has more or less turned into a supervillain punching bag. But maybe things aren't so hopeless after all.
I don't think that's where this is going to go.
Look, there's some good bad here. Just don't worry, you'll get to your bad stuff and you can be happy.
All right, well, let's follow this rabbit hole. After a week that featured Suicide Squad's Rotten Tomatoes rating plummet to 26% with more than 200 reviews, reports about behind-the-scenes chaos and fanned petitions. Fanned petitions?
Fanned
Yes,
petitions.
They fanned the petitions. Oh my.
Don't be so coy.
Well, apparently we do have good news and bad news.
Yes, so let's do the good news first. After its debut last night, reports are coming out that the movie set a box office record with an estimated $20.5 million evening.
Okay, that is good. According to Box Office Mojo, that's an opening night record for the month of August, and the 13th biggest Thursday of all time. We're really getting very granular with it.
Look, you take your wins where you can.
We're better than any other sport day. Beating out Guardians of the Galaxy's $11.4 million on its August Thursday night preview back in 2014. After that, Guardians did, however, go on to pull down $94.3 million? Yeah, in its first weekend.
Which bodes well for Suicide Squad. That huge $20.5 million mark for Suicide Squad comes from 3,700 theaters around the country. Current estimates place the movie as finishing the weekend at around $130 million, which is also very, very positive. It's not Civil War strong or even Batman vs. Superman strong in terms of opening numbers, but it's very respectable.
Internationally, Suicide Squad is starting strong as well. After releasing in 40 markets overseas in the past 2 days, the film has grabbed an additional $29.5 million, which included Russia's biggest opening day of all time for any movie ever, even on Thursdays.
So they've set a huge record. They're off to a strong start internationally. But that's where the hype train derails a little bit, because now it's looking like Warner Brothers is about to hit a major money setback in their quest for the movie to break even. Plus, one of the film's most notable stars is already speaking out against it.
A Hollywood Reporter article earlier this week quoted an executive as saying that Warner Brothers will breathe a sigh of relief if the movie hits anywhere in the $700 to $800 million range. Whew. Man, $750 million.
That's all it's gotta do.
Unfortunately, the movie might have a bit of trouble hitting that mark, thanks to some new developments.
According to another new report from the site, sources close to the situation are reporting that a Suicide Squad for release in China is extremely unlikely. That's kind of a big deal, since China is the second biggest movie market in the world after the US, to the point where they actually filmed exclusive content for Iron Man 3 just for the Chinese market. It's huge now.
Yeah, the China Film Group, the state-backed entity responsible for importing films into the country, hasn't put the movie down yet for release on its calendar, which normally happens at least 2 months in advance. So if it hasn't happened by now, it's probably not going to.
Yeah, one source told The Hollywood Reporter that the reason for the snub is that they think this is not a good film to release in China.
Again, however, that is a significant blow to Suicide Squad's box office potential. Batman v Superman's performance in China was considered kind of disappointing, but even so, it still added around $95 million to its $872 million total worldwide.
This movie isn't going to be anywhere near the same scale as a flick featuring the two biggest superheroes in the world, probably. So missing out on that much money from the Chinese audience is going to make it even harder to achieve that $700 to $800 million that they need, and maybe even impossible, considering that's kind of the ballpark that Batman vs. Superman was playing in. That's like they hit right in between it.
Yeah, we did it once. Why can't we do it again with less notable characters?
Right.
Unfortunately, the bad news doesn't really stop there, because now Jared Leto is publicly making statements that he's upset that most of his scenes as the Joker were cut from the film.
He's gonna go real life Joker. In an interview with IGN, the disappointed actor said, "Were there any that didn't get cut? I'm asking you, were there any that didn't get cut?" Like he thinks IGN knows. "There were so many scenes that got cut from the movie, I couldn't even start. I think that the Joker, we did a lot of experimentation on the set, we explored a lot. There's so much that we shot that's not in the film."
I'm glad you learned a lot about yourself, Jared. I don't know that that works for the Joker. It's generally never good when one of your highest profile stars starts bashing the movie the same weekend it comes out.
Although maybe it is if that is also the villain, because then people are all like jazzed up. It's transmedia. It's bleeding over into real life.
This needed more Jared. More Jared in the film. Jared is Joker.
And tattoos and weird teeth and stuff. Anyway, I don't know, it's a lot of wasted method. Anyway, Leto went on to say, if I die anytime soon, it's probably likely that it'll surface somewhere. That's the good news about the death of an actor, is all that stuff seems to come out. So he dies, they release all his scenes, suddenly the movie's a success.
I mean, it's a hell of a way to get the expanded edition, but
Leto logic.
That's some real Heath Ledger type stuff going on there. Not a great way to play that, bro.
Probably not. Time to add some "Hello, darkness, my old friend" to Jared Leto interviews, and then we can have sad Batman, sad Joker, and then they can kiss.
Just meme it off. However, some of the other stars of the movie have come out in its defense. That's probably because they were still in the movie when they went to watch it.
Hoping for a sequel. Yeah, speaking to Reuters, director David Ayer said, "I made the movie for real people who live in the real world. I made the movie for people who actually love movies and go and see movies."
Do you think he realized from the beginning that the Joker that he created was, or that team created, was a huge mistake? He was just like,
I don't know about
the contract. We gotta shoot it. We'll put it in the movie.
I don't know about mistake as such, but I imagine that a lot of stuff is overshot and then they edit it down. Especially if you have a real method actor like Leto who's gonna go off on crazy tangents. They'll be like, all right, well, let's try this thing. And then when that thing doesn't work, they don't use that thing.
Hey, that was beautiful. Let's this time let's try the words that are in the script. Just a couple of them in there, here and there, for pacing. Deadshot actor Will Smith added in a separate interview, "I think people had expectations that may have been different, but I'm excited for the fans to get to vote."
Harley Quinn's Margot Robbie echoed the same script that the others had, apparently, saying, "At the end of the day, critical acclaim is really nice, but we made it for the fans. If the fans like it, then we did our job."
Enchantress actress Cara Delevingne went a step further than all of them, though, stating, "The critics have been absolutely horrific. They're really, really horrible. I just don't think they like superhero movies."
Oh, well, maybe they're just not liking DC hero movies at the moment. Although I will agree that this seems like the type of movie that's made for the DC fans. And if you're going into it with the correct set of expectations, you'll probably really enjoy yourself. The people who reviewed The Dark Knight, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool, they liked comic book movies too, but maybe they just don't like this one.
That's fine. Everybody has
Critics
their own
don't
opinion.
Have to. We've said this in earlier videos, but if you like something, fuck it, you like it, man, and don't be sorry about that. Just because a critic disagrees with you.
Some of the greatest historical movies of all time will become cult hits, and that's where they become great, is when they become trash. You have to become trash to become great. Caden shaking his head. I also have no examples
You pass
of this.
through the trash and come out the other side.
That's you polish that turd. But this is pretty much the exact same way that the stars of Batman v Superman reacted to the criticism of that film back in March. Almost as if they got coached by someone in Warner Brothers PR.
Oh, just imagine. But of course, Batman vs Superman wasn't overwhelmingly met with a lot of love from fans either, so they also weren't quite as warm as I think Warner Brothers had been hoping. Still, the story for how fans will respond to this particular DC outing isn't entirely written since it's technically only just coming out, and so far, fan reactions seem to be mixed. Some people love it, some people kind of agree that it was a mess.
Kind of like Ghostbusters. We'll have to see if this is one of those movies that fans respond to much better than critics, but so far, things haven't worked out for DC that well.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, Suicide Squad has had a bad week in terms of press, a great 24 hours of actual box office business, which in the end is probably what they care about. That same success will likely continue to play out through the weekend, and those are all positives.
But criticism from one of its major stars, growing negative word of mouth, and not releasing in China may mean that over the long term, this movie barely makes its money back, if it can reach that goal at all.
What do you guys think of Suicide Squad's continued downward spiral? Are you still planning on seeing it? I am. Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on all of DC's attempts to keep their cinematic universe on, let's face it, life support, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
And it's still gonna do like $750 million. I mean, that's hard to call life support. I get that you gotta break even on everything, but life support, that's a tad dramatic.